As the colors change to fall, the shows just keep getting brighter on Global Voice Broadcasting. Shows about everything that matters to you, from love, living, and life. If you're talking about it, we're talking about it this fall on Global Voice Broadcasting. Don't miss a second.
I highly recommend Ms. Hicks. Her books, her CDs are encouraging.
I bought her book, A Hill to Climb. She's a very inspirational speaker.
And I look forward to one day being able to work with her.
Your power lies within you. Let it loose.
Aspiration, inspiration, motivation, edification, determination. These are the keys of life success, brought to you by none other than award-winning author, motivational lecturer, business consultant, and much more as she gets you aimed to your purpose. And now, ladies and gentlemen, young and elder, from Hollywood to the entire world, here is your host of Aim to Purpose, the radio show, Louise Hicks, along with her co-host, yours truly, Kenan Wesley Mason.
Hello, world. How's everybody today? And welcome to our show, Aim to Purpose, the radio show. I'm your host, Louise Hicks, along with my co-host, Kenan Wesley Mason.
Yes, yes.
And, of course, we have Mika the Diva with Community and Entertainment News.
Hello.
And we have a great show for you today, too. We have with us Professor Baron K. Brown, and we're going to talk about crisis in America. But before we get to our special guest, we're going to go right into Community and Entertainment News with Mika the Diva.
Hello, hello. Yes, it is your girl Mika the Diva with your entertainment and community news report for Monday, November 10th. Hello, everybody. Hope all is well. So listen, we're going to get into some box office numbers. We've got Big Hero 6 coming in at $56.2 million. Interstellar at number 2 with $50 million. And Gone Girl is still hanging in the top 3 with $6 million. So looks like Big Hero 6 and Interstellar, which I'm hearing a whole lot about this past weekend. They also did really, really well international. According to Deadline Hollywood, the movie Interstellar was seen by 10.7 million folks across several continents this weekend. And they showed out an amazing 80 million total in international numbers for over 14,000 screens. So pretty big showing for them. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles come in at number 2 international with 17.3. And The Maze Runner is still hanging in there with 11.7. So I guess a good weekend at the box office after all. But those were the two movies that were doing the biggest numbers and making the biggest buzz. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we've got some upcoming releases for November 14th. That's this Friday. Beyond the Lights. Now, this is the romantic thriller starring Gugu Mbatha-Raw, Nate Parker, Minnie Driver, Richard Colson Baker, and Danny Glover. Okay, so this is the story about Noni, the music world's latest superstar. All is not what it seems when the pressures of fame have her on the edge. She meets Kaz Nickel, which is a young cop aspiring politician, aspiring politician who's been assigned to her detail. So basically, they fall in love. You know, boy meets girl, girl is a star, right. You know, she's having trouble trying to get her life together. And so this, is the quintessential love story in the end. All prevails. So Beyond the Lights. Now, I'm actually going to see this tomorrow. The NAACP is hosting a screening. So it'll be nice to go and check that out. And I think the cast will also be there. So I will have a report, let you guys know how that went.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, next week. Also coming up on this weekend, Dumb and Dumber 2. Please tell me you guys are excited about this. Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels, they're reprising their signature roles as Lloyd and Harry in the sequel. This time, Harry and Lloyd go on a road trip to find a child Harry never knew he had. Oh. And, of course, they don't need any responsibility, so I promise you this is going to be a really funny movie.
And the first Dumber and Dumber was released, in the early 2000s or late 90s?
I want to say
it's
the
been
90s,
a while.
but it has been a while.
Yeah,
now, I actually caught it on TV this past weekend, so it was pretty ironic. But, yeah coming up. So... So that's that. Let's jump into some music news. The American Music Awards is coming up on Sunday, November 23rd. They are going to be live at the Nokia Theater in downtown Los Angeles, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And so, that's always a good show. They've got Elizabeth Banks, Aloe Black, Jamie Foxx, Julianne Hough, Kendall and Kylie Jenner, just to name a few as presenters. And they've got 5 Seconds of Summer, Iggy Azalea, Mary J. Blige, Garth Brooks, Fergie, Selena Gomez, Imagine Dragons, Lord, just the list goes on and on.
It sure does.
Taylor
The who's
Swift.
who in the music
Yeah,
industry.
so everybody and their mama is going to be there. So
Sure
check
is.
that out Sunday, November 23rd.
You went to the American Music Awards, didn't you?
Oh, yes, I've been
Once
before.
upon a time?
I went there and met Michael Jackson
Yes.
when they crowned him. It was
How long
awesome,
ago was
too.
that, though?
Oh, God, that goes back. I
Had to
think it
have
was
been.
in the 80s.
Long
It's
time
been a
ago.
long time ago, but it was
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, I
loved
mean,
it.
It's always a good show, so we're
yeah.
looking forward to that one. Just real quick, the Aaliyah biopic. I don't know if you guys have heard about this one, but obviously there's been a lot of controversy because this film was.
The Billboard is right up the street.
Yeah, exactly.
It's at the corner.
It's at the corner. So yeah, it's getting a lot of pub, and the family was against the movie being filmed. I mean, actually created.
Right.
Wendy Williams is an executive producer, so she's been talking about it a lot on her show. So it's coming on Lifetime on Saturday, November 15th, 8 p.m. So check it out. I'm really interested to see how they put this
I
movie
am too.
together.
I'll have to
I am
tune
too.
in.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So moving on to some upcoming events in Hollywood. The Variety and the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce presents the 3rd annual State of Entertainment Industry Conference. Okay, this is taking place Friday, November 21st from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. At the Ray Dalby Ballroom, Hollywood and Highland Center. And so it's just an overall conference again. They're going to have an award ceremony honoring Vin DeBona, who is the producer and creator of America's Funniest Home Videos. So he's going to be getting award Commitment to California Awards presentation. Mayor Eric Garcetti and Speaker Pro Tem Kevin D. Leon will also be in attendance. You can go to thehollywoodchamber.net/events for more information. Okay. Now, moving on to community news, I know that you guys have probably heard about all of the different things that are happening with the internet. I mean, this is more of like a tech report,
Yes.
only because Obama, he's waging war on the FCC to treat internet billing as just like other utilities. A report came out today just talking about net neutrality, which is basically keeping companies from buying out basically buying out these internet service providers to make it a easier, access to their sites.
They're
So
trying to
there
make
is
us pay for it, too.
Yeah, so obviously we definitely want to, kind of stay close to that because the question then becomes is how much of this other, stuff is as it pertains to the internet.
Right.
Is it going to start to infringe upon our rights?
Our rights
Yeah.
to seek information
Yes.
and
All kinds of
Start
things are
shutting things
happening.
down, and we don't want that.
That's right.
Yeah, so that's something that is of concern, and then the United States Postal Service. So this is obviously community news because
Yes.
everybody gets their mail.
I heard about that one, too.
It's like what's going on? So we know we had the Target breach, which was last holiday season, right?
Right.
So it seems like every holiday season there's something else going on. But the United States Postal Service said that today it had been a victim of cybersecurity intrusion that exposed the personal information of some 800,000 employees.
Wow.
That's
The
amazing.
FBI
Wow.
is investigating this, the source of the attack. Now, they have word that this attack came all the way from China. But now, isn't it interesting that President Obama was just over in China?
Right.
He sure was.
I'm just saying.
Say no
Interesting.
more.
But employee
Interesting.
information
Say no
like
more.
names and addresses and social security numbers may have been compromised. And they are also saying that the same could be said for, just regular customers that are coming into the post office, but that has not been confirmed, so everything is still under investigation. So my question for the people listening is, what are you doing to protect your personal information? Are you not going to do as much online shopping? We know Cyber Monday is coming up. So, are you just using cash when you go in to shop now? Like, what are you doing to protect yourselves? And then, do you think that this is another way for the government to keep the tabs on the American people?
Something
Wild.
is going on. They
Questions.
know pretty much
Yeah.
everything anyhow.
Yeah. So I know that was a mouthful, guys, but that was my report for today. So we'll be back next week. I definitely want to let you know how the screening for Beyond the Lights went. And also, the Small Business Expo was amazing.
Yes, it
It
was.
It was so amazing. Bill Walsh, who is the CEO of Power Team International, who's actually also the corporate sponsor for the event. Really, really great keynote speaker.
Yes.
I think there were, I can't even count how many vendors.
Oh, it was lots
were
of people there. I was there too,
Yeah. Right.
with Mika the Diva, of course, and we
yeah.
had a great time. I mean, Bill Walsh really was amazing. Great speaker,
He was.
excellent.
And I think one thing that I took away from the expo is, as an entrepreneur, you just constantly have to stay at it, and networking is
do.
absolutely everything. So,
And
it was a good
establishing
time.
relationships and
Yes.
fulfilling your commitment, following through with your commitment.
follow up and follow through.
Right, follow up, follow through. And that's so vital in any business that you're going to embark upon. Follow up, follow through, and establish harmonious relationships. And with that being said, thank you, Mika the Diva. You really gave us a lot to ponder
I
today.
know I did, and I'll be posting on Twitter, so hit me up at Mika the Diva, and of course, respond to our questions out there on Aim to Purpose on Twitter.
There you go.
Okay, and with that said, we're going to take our commercial break, and then we're going to come back, and we're just going to delve right into Crisis in America Reality Check with our special guest today, Professor Baron K. Brown.
Yes.
So take it away to a
Yes.
commercial break.
And we'll be right back.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Hey folks, it's Ken here. If you or someone you know around the world has a small business, organization, or foundation you'd like to share with the Aim to Purpose audience, showcase it here on our segment of the show called Small Business Monday. The opportunities for people around the world to browse, buy, and use your products and services are endless. We pre-screen all businesses, organizations, and foundations for legitimacy, but because this is a free community service brought to our audience, it's at no cost to you as well. You heard it right. It's absolutely free, and you don't have to pay one penny. How do you like that? You just come on down to the studio and tell the story of your business, organization, or foundation and give it the praises and accolades you know it deserves. If you're in another part of the state or country, or if you're in another part of the world, you can easily call in or Skype in and do the same. So what are you waiting for? Contact the show's publicist, Shamika Brown, at www.divinebrownmedia.com. She can also be contacted at 1-818-533-8463. Or contact Louise Hicks at www.louisehicks.biz. She can also be contacted at 1-562-310-1495. Allow yourself to be seen by the global masses and allow your business to shine and grow because of the global masses. It's Small Business Monday, courtesy of Aim to Purpose, the radio show.
Hello, world. We are back today with Aim to Purpose, the radio show. Again, I'm Louise Hicks, your host, along with my co-host, Ken and Wesley Mason. And we have such a dynamic guest back today by popular demand. Of course, he's been here before, and everybody loved him so much. We got into this conversation. He seems to come up on the heels of exciting and news that really stir people up, because the last time he was here, it was Ferguson. This time he's here, it's voting, and everybody is up in arms about the voting and what happened and so forth. So without further talk from me, let's hear from Kenan with the bio on our special guest today.
Special guest, yes. Baron is currently a full-time professor for the Administration of Justice program at Chaffee Community College in Southern California. His areas of specialization are criminal justice systems, leadership and management in law enforcement and military organizations, and public administration and policy. Baron is a captain in the U.S. Coast Guard Reserve. He has served over 25 years. He is a specialist in law enforcement, intelligence, anti-terrorism, national security, and homeland security. He was activated after the tragedies on September 11, 2001, and he was kept on active duty for several months, briefing and training personnel on intelligence and security matters during Operation Noble Eagle and Operation Iraq Freedom. He was also recalled during the Deepwater Horizon oil spill disaster in 2010, serving as the manager of the National Incident Command's Interagency Solutions Group, who was responsible for developing the majority of the agency solutions for responding to the worst environmental disaster in U.S. history. Barron has been married for 31 years and is the father of 4 children. So with that, we want to welcome back to Aim to Purpose, the radio show, Professor Barron K. Brown.
And thank you so much for coming back with us. We know you were here last time, November 18th. And we talked, I'm sorry, August 18th. And we talked about self-empowerment, no excuses. And that was a great topic. And also, let's give a shout out today to all the vets who fought in the wars and protected us. And we need to have a show just about them, because I don't believe they get the accolades that they deserve because of all the just giving up their lives for us. So let's really honor the vets today and give thanks to them for keeping our country safe for us. And let's go into what we're going to talk about today, Crisis in America, reality check. So, Professor Brown, welcome.
Thank you.
And we have a video today that we're going to start off with, and we'll just play. The video is kind of a little bit long. I think it's about 8 minutes or so. So what we're going to do is just show part of it in bits and pieces, and we're going to discuss it. And I have a few other things I'd like to interject in. So let's start off with the video.
And here we go.
Okay.
Racial tension in Ferguson, Missouri still simmers this morning. As you know, Michael Brown was shot and killed by a police officer in August. The city is waiting for the results of several investigations. Attorney General Eric Holder yesterday called for wholesale change in the Ferguson Police Department. Republican strategist and CBS News contributor Frank Luntz brought together 17 people to talk about race relations in America.
It's one of the most emotional issues, and it's very difficult to have a conversation without that passion coming through. But we're fortunate to have a diverse group of people here, and I need to ask you, are race relations in America getting better or getting worse?
Worse. And I blame Obama for doing it.
So you go right to politics.
Right to politics.
Right to politics.
Because we have a president who's made everything political.
Our race relations in this country have to do with us and our separatism as people and not working together to build those gaps.
The media and politicians on purpose inflame the issue of race relations.
Yes. You guys agree with that?
I agree. We live common, decent lives. And once in a while, a Ferguson accident happens and media blow it out of proportion, portray it as an assault of one race on another, and inflame people, make them angry, make them agitated.
Say that again.
Ferguson happens in every city, every day, across the board. Black, white, Hispanic, Indian, whatever.
I went to school in Ferguson, Florida at the time, in the 70s. Guess what happened? There weren't that many blacks there. But over time, more and more blacks came, and it was like a resistance. And at the time, they were known for just harassing and kind of beating blacks. But now what happened, that a step further, an unarmed kid getting killed, I don't think it's acceptable.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Use the word black rather than African American. I'll be candid with you also.
Sure.
We're trying to be careful.
That's right.
To use the right terminology. But you said black. Why did you say?
When you guys make the terms.
You say you guys make the terms.
Not you, but I'm just saying the powers that be.
I do too.
We're not about to
stop on right now.
African American people are people who come to America from Africa. Charlie,
let's stop the video for a second and we'll come back, because that's interesting how we have evolved over the years from. Actually, we were first called niggers by many. And one of the things I have with that, we are so skeptical and we stick our heads in the sand. It's like we are afraid to say the word. And we've termed it now the N-word instead of saying, because
the infamous N-word.
Right, the infamous N-word. And until we have candid conversations in this country, we're going to continue to have a crisis in America, because when we look back at historically actually, the country was founded on false pretense, because until all men are free, no man is free. And anytime you start on a foundation that's not solid and you equate one man as a partial man and another man as a whole man, you're starting off with self-destruction. And ever since our country has started, we know we have continuously self-destructed. And it has gotten worse, as these people have already said in this video. And this is coming out of Los Angeles, this group that has been put together. It's a Los Angeles group. And we say the word black. So we have evolved from, like I said, we've been called niggers many years, and then we were colored, then we were Negroes, then we were black, then we were African Americans. Now we're back to black. So, Professor, shed some light on some of this.
One is from a personal place. I think that to put a prefix on American kind of reduces that particular person's role in America and America's value, and I think they're a little bit devalued.
That's right.
The reason why I say that is because if you ask me nationality, what nation I'm from America. You cut me, I bleed red, white, and blue. I support this country. I've served my community as a law enforcement officer for over 20 years. I'm coming up on 26 years protecting and serving my country, and so I'm very, very patriotic, and unfortunately, from a stereotypical place, a lot of people believe that black folks in general are not patriotic and they don't love this country, and that's kind of just, it's such a lost concept.
It's very lost. I agree.
And when I look at using the term black versus African American, I'm an American that is of African descent.
Right.
If I was white, I don't have to qualify that and say I'm a white American. You just call me an American. If you look at a commercial
or
for
I'm
a certain,
or I'm a white American from European descent.
Yeah, or
you don't hear that.
And see, and that's the thing that I don't mind. If you say I'm American of Dutch descent or American of Swedish descent, all that's fine. But the thing is that when you talk about the irony of the term Native American, they're the only real indigenous people that are here, and why are you redundantly calling them Native American? They're already Native. They don't need the label. No, they don't need the additional label. So actually, I prefer black because that's how I grew up. And I say I'm an American.
Agreed with you. Not to say to cut you off, but I agree with you because first of all, I have an African guest coming on the show, and she's white. She's going to be coming up. I think it's it's next week. Sarah Jane. Can't recall right now, but anyhow, she's coming on the show next week, and she's white and she's African. So if you call us African American, how are we identified as who we really are? In fact, most of our who we are anyhow, when we came over here, we have an identity problem with all. So much has come about. So I'm like you. I prefer to be called a black American.
There's no country to go back to if someone ever.
Absolutely.
And I've actually had that said to me. If you don't like this, go back to. I said, where
so
do I
have
go?
I.
have to go. Then I have to go back to Compton,
right?
Because that's where I was born.
And me back to Louisiana.
So I mean, when folks make comments like that and sweeping comments like that, it's very, very stinging. And if you're an American, it's extremely compromising, very insulting kind of statement to make. And so that's why I don't. If you question my patriotism, it may become a parking lot issue to be settled later off the clock. I mean, that's how serious I am about it. And so I really find it offensive to not be as much American as maybe other parties are. And so I just go with black.
I do too. And I feel comfortable with that because this is the only country I know. And I'm a very patriotic citizen. Love my country. However, I don't love all the things that are going on in my country. There are too many issues in America that we're dealing with. And it's interesting how these issues have gotten so lost in the shuffle until many of the masses, we're being bamboozled, as I call it, because of all of these issues. Look at the problems we're having with the educational system here, the healthcare system. I mean, we have so many issues in this country until we could talk for days, and we know we don't have enough time to really talk about it. But it's really a crisis here. And just to throw this in, yesterday Miles Monroe was killed in a plane crash accident. And he was a very highly respected spiritual leader. And just to quote something that he said, transform followers into leaders and leaders into agents of change. And that is really something that we should be doing, and it should be harmoniously done. And here we are in California today, broadcasting live here from Global Voice Broadcasting Network in Hollywood, California, and we're being heard all across the world. And with technology, that is helping us to just bring cultures together through harmoniously talks like what we're doing and getting an understanding of each other. And that is how we connect, because I think the greatest gift of all that can really free all of us is love. And until we learn to love each other, we're going to continue to have a problem, and the crisis will continue in America. So let's hear, unless Ken, if you want to say something, we can go back to the video after you make some comments that you'd like to, and then just dig in if you want to say something else.
Go ahead.
Professor Brown.
Louise, I just wanted to dovetail into the comment that you made about love, and I will go to the part of human valuation and valuing everyone as a human being, humane treatment of each other. And when all you see is my external packaging, and you're distracted by that first instead of treating me like, what about your son, what about your brother, what about your dad, and humanizing me at an equivalent level, then that will be the driver of all these agents of each other being agents for change, treating each other in a humane way. And I still say, in regards to the race issue and polarization and the tension that I think is apparent and we can't ignore in this country right now, I think the humanizing of each other is one, but I think that we also need to, as we talk about diversity, not breed divisiveness into that. And look at where the common ground is. And the thing about it is that I want the same thing for my children as you want for yours.
Absolutely.
Regardless of color, regardless of ethnic background. I want the same kind of job opportunities. I want the same educational opportunities. I want to be treated by my public safety employees, police and fire, the same way that you would be treated. I want to be treated when I go into a car dealership or when I walk into a certain retailer. I don't want to be followed around because of my packaging. I just want to be treated in a humane way. And look at me based on that particular value, the human value of me. And when that happens and we talk about all the things that we share commonly, that we all want these great things for our families, we want these great things for our future, we want these great things for our kids, we will find so much common ground that we can actually start to try to have some sensible, common sense, civil dialogue on the areas of disparity. And I think that there obviously is, within a centrist-driven democracy that we're in right now as far as the current state, that we can actually have numerous points of reconciliation. But we have to open up those opportunities. The first thing we have to do is see each other humanely and treat each other humanely. And that's where it starts, and celebrate the commonality that we have as Americans within American culture. You know,
this is a melting pot, and
at least it's
it's supposed to be. We're supposed to consider it a melting pot, and when you have the labeling, the labeling other than what we are, we're human beings first. Then the label comes.
People first, always. Should be people first, regardless of what color you are.
Right.
It should be all about people first.
People first. And we get away from that. We have an educational system that hardly educates. We have a healthcare system that doesn't keep you completely healthy. And these are the systems that will continue to give us this kind of dialogue. Because if it were any other way, we wouldn't be sitting here.
No, we wouldn't.
So did you want to go to the...
Yes, let's go to some more of the video. And
Charlize Theron is African-American. Francois Botha, the boxer, he's African-American. I've never been to Africa in my life. I am a black American woman. Why do we keep coming up with all these? We've been from color to Negro to African-American. Why can't we just be comfortable being black? That's who we are.
By show of hands, who believes America's more integrated today than it was 20 years ago? Who thinks it's more segregated today? So more people say segregated. What gives you that impression?
I think it's just somewhat discreet in various areas, but I still think it is a huge problem.
I think the thing is it's very hard to have a race conversation when it's not peaceful demonstration like Martin Luther King standing up for rights, and this is and having a message. It was a messaging. Now we see looting and shooting and breaking stuff and acting poorly.
Well, what would you do if 24/7 the man is on your neck?
The man is not on anybody's neck. The bottom line is that, listen, I've kicked down a lot of white people's doors too, and I'm former law enforcement. What I'm saying about the Ferguson thing is that the bottom line is that, you know, you teach your children not to assault the police. Number one, you have no business putting your hands on a cop to begin with and hitting them and attacking them. If you do that, you're going to get what you get. Okay, so there's no angel.
Put this dude on trial because he's not alive, and we don't know all the facts of the situation. We don't even know if that video was really a video of him or not. The point is,
wait, stop. You really don't think that was photoshopped?
My point is, we don't have the facts on the situation, so we're not going to talk about. We're not going to put him on trial today.
All the facts, exactly.
That goes back to my initial point. Abusing authority is not abusing authority.
Ain't no boy
The police officer was tried in
Hold on. Why is it we've had a conversation here that has been brilliant up until this moment?
Because it's a very sensitive issue.
I can leave here right now and walk down this street and the police can see me and kill me.
It's not even close to being true. It's not even close to being true. Look, I work with the police every day, okay? And the mandates basically is to deter crime.
Right, when we're talking about race, all this talk about race, I'd say minimum 95+% of people could care less about race, whether you're black, Hispanic, Chinese, whatever. So it's just a tiny percentage of overall America, and we're making a huge issue out of it. The majority of people could care less.
Let's stop the video.
Yeah, you definitely need to.
At that point, let's stop the video, because obviously, from what we're hearing, a lot of people in America are really living delusional in terms of race relations, human relations, because we all are of the human race. And until we recognize that, I believe we will continue to have problems with race relations. So, Professor, and excuse my voice today because I'm coming off of a little bit of a cold, but hearing this say, the gentleman that obviously is a police officer, was a police officer, and you having that experience being in the force yourself, what do you say to that about segregation kicking down the door, and that if you put your hand on a police officer, you're going to get what you deserve to get? And
one is that unfortunately, I think that the platform that he's promoting has its own body of errors in and of itself in the way that it's being framed. Yes, you should respect the law. Yes, you should respect peace officers as they try to execute their duties. However, we are accountable to the public also. And so our behavior has to be beyond reproach. And that's the reason why ethics and morals and values are stressed very, very rigidly in most law enforcement agencies, and that's why you have mission statements and vision statements and all these other things. And ideally, tougher policies. I will back up a peace officer all the way to the gates, and I'll put it that way, if this officer is right. Mm-hmm. If this officer is wrong,
absolutely,
and has used excessive force or has abused his authority, I'll leave him on an island by himself.
Right.
I'd be the first one
to flee.
I'm the first one that will leave him isolated, and I have nothing for him because I teach that specifically supervision, leadership, and management in law enforcement and military organizations, and that is a huge piece that I really push to my students. But what was unsettling and highly disturbing was this 95% that this gentleman asserted to. One is that I'm sure
all means address that.
I'm sure that this is not statistically supported and not grounded in research. And if we were able to see, I think there's another gentleman that will also talk about this 95%. And in fact, even the facilitator alluded to it at the close. And the thing is that the folks who are asserting this 95% all are white males. And so from their perspective, no, there's not a race issue, because if you talk about the issues of privilege, and we'll just leave it there.
Right.
I don't need to. I've even talked to my own students. I say, have your these are students that I have students from all races basically, but my white male students, I've asked them, has your dad ever had a talk with you about how to deal with the police if they ever contact you or pull you over? Because I had to have that talk with my two sons.
Absolutely. What was their response?
And
I'm
their
curious
response,
to hear
no,
that one.
I've never had my dad tell me, make sure to keep your hands in plain view, make sure to not make sudden movements, make sure that your pants aren't sagging, make sure all these other
Not talk
things.
out of turn.
Not talk out of turn, not be challenging, be respectful, yes sir, no sir. And the thing about it is that we can't enjoy that as African American men.
No,
At
you
least
can't.
I couldn't.
No,
in
you
this
can't.
country in regards to that. So I don't know where the 95% piece comes from, but I think that that's a very, very distorted perspective to have, because that person who's asserted that can enjoy the fact that he won't get followed in a high-end retail store. He'll get talked to first when he walks into a luxury car dealership. He'll be addressed as sir at the bank. He won't be called, hey brother, at the car wash instead of sir, may I help you? What kind of car? No,
Right.
That's happened to me, and I've had to go
Yes.
to management about
Yeah.
that. Or when the police pull you over and ask for your license and registration. Hey, bro, you have your excuse me? Whoa. I mean, is there something?
Where's the respect?
Is there something my parents haven't told me? Because it's hey, bro thing. And it's like, why are you doing that? And I've had to talk to my own deputies when I was on the sheriff's department about addressing people and trying to address them in cultural ways. It's offensive. And why can't you just say yes, sir, no, sir, to everybody you deal with? Just be respectful. And so I think that 95% assertion is a denial issue.
That person is totally in denial.
It's also an issue of believing
Lack of
that,
knowledge.
that we're at a post-racial point
Mm-hmm.
in American society and within American culture, and we simply are not. And if you look at it from a historical context and bring it up to date and juxtapose the two, the vitriol that you'll see on a blog or that you'll see in responses in a string from an incident, like if you're looking at Ferguson, the comments made by some people on these websites is absolutely unbelievable. That forces you, compels you to acknowledge the fact that it is still alive and well, but it is in a more covert kind of still waters run deep type of thing.
It's like a stealth bomber.
And it
It's still
seems
there.
almost like since President Obama's been in office, there's actually been more polarization. And it truly is unfortunate, because I think that was a pseudo endorsement of us being post-racial by putting this quote-unquote black man in office.
Right.
And it was like, okay, that means that we're past the race issue now. We're good in America. We have a black president.
Right.
Thumbs
We
up.
see how that turned out.
Dude, we got it done. and it's just simply not the case. As I've told people with the reality check, that is simply one black man with a job.
That's all it is.
That hasn't caused us to necessarily turn the corner. I think generationally, that is how the corner will be turned. Is that the generation behind us, my children,
Right.
who really are not caught up in race at all. And I think all of them only have like one black friend, and the rest of them look like the United Nations. I'm serious. And because they were raised in the suburbs, and so, they're in schools that have very low African American enrollment, et cetera. And so they've made friends because these people were quality people.
Yeah.
They didn't look at the packaging. And I think that this generation, with all the crossover and the interracial connections, is actually going to be the generation that helps us turn the corner, because the baby boomers, we're kind of locked in. We're
Yeah,
too
you
old
can't
to
change
change
them.
a lot. Exactly.
Well, some people you will never change. And because, let me share this, hopefully we will see change within the younger generation. However, you have to remember who the parents are of some
Right.
of these generational kids. Because these parents, many of them, this racism is ingrained in them. And they're going to ingrain it in their children. I've seen it and I've worked in it. I've dealt with it. Like when I was an elementary teacher's aide, the little white girl walked up to me and told me her mother told her I was a nigger. I mean, and she didn't know any better, of course. So we're going to continuously have this problem as long as parents continue to feed their children these things, and as long as we continue to be a prisons, because our country look for, in elementary school, they look to be a prisons based on dumbing down the system in terms of education. When we look at it, I brought this in California alone. Since 1980, 22 prisons have been built compared to one university. What is that telling you?
That speaks volumes.
It speaks huge volumes. And when we look at the educational system, I read some other statistics where we spend $9,000 on a student for education. We spend $62,000 on inmates. What is that telling you? You're building these, when we voted the other day, and I really get emotional about this because it saddens me to see our country in such a crisis because, first of all, we were founded on false pretense because until you free all men, no man is free. And when we look at these statistics and we look at the vote, how they said the people that didn't turn out to vote were minorities, predominantly Hispanics and blacks. But think about it. These people are so worn out. They're tired because they see what I call the seat warmers in Washington, our politicians doing nothing but raking money into their pockets. Ask them how many of them have Obamacare. What type of insurance do they have? What schools are they sending their children to? What kind of pensions do they get? And look at the veterans who go to war and come back. Where are many of them? I go down on Skid Row. I see all of these vets. Some of these people are vets down there. Yes. They are homeless. They have nowhere to go. They have fought. Many of them, they've lost their limbs.
And you can't feed the homeless now.
And now you can't feed the homeless. They're in Florida. Can you believe that? They have a law in Florida. These seat warmers now. That says you can no longer feed the homeless. And guess why they said you can't feed the homeless? Because of safety and health issues. Now, if you're so concerned about safety and health issues, why are the homeless on the streets, which the streets are the most dangerous places in America, aren't they, Professor? Shed some light on the streets in America.
Well, when you look at living on the streets, you are at high risk. A lot of homeless shelters, unfortunately, are overwhelmed, crowded.
Yes.
They can be very unsafe places because you can have some pretty unsafe and unsavory people.
It's like a prison in itself.
You can have some folks with psychological,
absolutely,
emotional, and mental problems that are in homeless shelters. But the thing about it is that the Florida, the issue with the not feeding the homeless really is very, very cutting into the core of what we need to try to correct within this country at the most basic level, at least in my opinion. When you look at the downtrodden and you look at the philosophy of being a Judeo-Christian based nation, and really you hang a lanyard around your neck, what would Christ do? He would not feed the homeless. I thought he had some loaves and a few fish that he managed to spread
and the
around
daily bread.
Well. and so it really seems like it kind of wallows in hypocrisy as you look at this not feeding the homeless, and you look at also who are the stakeholders and who is affected. And that's really where the bottom line is, and it goes back to human valuation.
Absolutely.
When something affects a certain class or group of people, there will be a policy change.
Oh, of course.
I'm sorry to say, it is what it is. And as you look at, if you want to look at some of the drive-by shootings and high school violence that occurred in high school at Gardena High School, Centennial High School, these high schools in South Central Los Angeles and Compton, Washington, Fremont, Dorsey, Crenshaw. We can go down the whole list. And we never got counselors. We never had anyone come by to ask us, are we okay? We never had additional security measures that were put in place for any sustained period of time. But when you have Newtown and Columbine and Virginia Tech and so on, and you start to look at the class of people and individuals that are affected,
here comes the change.
It does make you scratch your head.
Yes.
And you really
makes you
don't
scratch
wanna,
more
you
than
really,
you had.
You really don't want to go there, and you really are trying. Okay, I'm an American. This is not supposed to be happening. When my kid gets shot or killed or hurt, my child should have the same value of a child in a higher socioeconomic level or a child in a different racial group.
That's right.
And a lot of Americans simply don't feel that way. They simply don't.
No, they don't. That's proven by what this gentleman said, because his head is somewhere buried, who knows where. He thinks that 95% of the people in America, they don't care about race. Obviously, look how that little group got overwhelmed, overheated, and that is what's happening here in America. Absolutely. We're at a boiling point, and politicians, the seat warmers, need to wake up and address some of these issues. People like Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, what are they doing? They are talking all of this stuff. They get on TV, they talk, but are they going into these communities doing things to truly help resolve some of these problems in the lower economic communities? First of all, we got to fix the educational system. And that's not the core of it. A lot of it has to do with parents. Parents, we cannot let you off the hook. You got to start raising your children. You cannot allow your children to run amok, because by design, this system is set up for failure, particularly in the minorities communities. They are benefiting from you, and they got corporations. They are buying stock into prisons. Are you aware of that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. And
so what does that tell you?
Well, I mean, it's very suggestive.
Okay.
It's a reality that the system is gearing up for failure of the masses, and masses, we need to wake up.
Oh, no, it's definitely determined by, when you look at projections for how many prisons you want to build, and you're looking at high school completion or high school success rates, that's all handled through actuarial type of fact-finding processes and so on. But it is really, really discouraging when you look at it as a parent, when you look at it as a member of a minority community, and you look at the challenges placed within your community and the American community. That's really, really very discouraging, that you're building prisons based on the calculation that you're going to have all these folks that aren't going to graduate,
right,
and are not going to be marketable. And the thing is that when you went to the parenting piece, and I love that segue that you went into talking about parents and accountability. I would say definitely, as we talk about, my son can slam dunk a basketball, or he can run 4.40 in the 12th grade, but I don't see anybody holding a party and celebrating when my son is taking AP calculus.
Yes.
Or my son is going into an engineering program.
Yes.
And the thing is that...
or can my son read?
I'm even talking about it at a high school level. It's that are we, and you talk about as an African American community, are we celebrating all the right things? Are we placing our values and signing accountability where we need to? As you open the door for
major
parenting,
problem.
As you open that door
major
for the
problem in Black community, we have to wake up.
What are we valuing in our children?
Absolutely.
Am I celebrating the fact that my youngest daughter, who really, really fought with mathematics, had AP calculus or something like that when she graduated high school, and could have gone down that pathway, but she went to another pathway, but it was great. But the thing is that I really celebrated her. And I want to make sure that we're not just celebrating our prowess in the area of athletics and entertainment.
Right.
We need to be looking at and celebrating our intellectual contributions that we've made historically. Just like, why do we not have the contributions of members of minority groups in your American history classes? We have to have a standalone separate class in African American history,
right,
or Mexican American or Hispanic history or something like that, or the contributions by other folks from other groups. And the thing is that that's all America.
Right. It should be inclusive.
There should be chapters and bursts in college level and high school level books, but you have to look at publishers, and you have to look at editors, and you have to look at feeding into raising the value of everybody, and saying that these folks all made valuable contributions to what America is.
Absolutely.
Just like who built the Capitol building, or we can go on and on about that kind of stuff.
And it just doesn't happen. And when I went to school, I went to a segregated school. We were educated. Yeah. I'm telling you, we were educated because the teachers cared about us. We were not just a student in a classroom. And there was something on Facebook recently about segregation hurting the Black community. And I, for one, agree that it did hurt the Black community in the sense that when we integrate, it should have been more about a cultural integration to learn about other cultures so that people could realize the things they've heard about us. We're not a bunch of monkeys running around with a bunch of tails and so forth. We are intelligent human beings who have the intellect to understand when we are taught. But it has to start at home. Parents, hear me. Conditioning of your children has to start at home.
Yeah.
If you're not teaching and training your children to understand that they must educate and become consciously aware, you are missing the point and missing the mark with your children, because this is what children need. They need it from the home environment first. And once you do that, you're going to have children that will start getting on track. They'll start learning. They will be eager to learn, but it has to come from the family unit and the family structure. And our structure in the community, we got to get away from all these liquor stores in the community. Got a liquor store on every corner. And, I mean, where are you getting all this money to run into the liquor store? We don't even have a decent supermarket in many of the minority communities where you can go and buy some decent food to nourish your body, nourish your soul. But you got a bunch of liquor stores, nicotine. All of these things are, who are you making rich? And I don't mean to be on a sermon here today, but it's disturbing. We do have a crisis in America.
It is a crisis. And on that note, we're going to take our final break and come back with some final thoughts. And I want to get into one other topic as well, speaking about what we choose to praise so much in our own community. So with that, we'll be right back.
This edition of Aim to Purpose, the radio show, is brought to you by L. Hicks Consulting Services. When you want the best in business coaching, life coaching, or perhaps your organization, business, or company is in need of a dynamic speaker for an upcoming workshop or seminar, contact Louise Hicks for L. Hicks Consulting Services at 1-562-310-1495. From anywhere around the world, that's 1-562-310-1495. For more information about Louise Hicks and her consulting services, visit her website at www.louisehicks.biz. Again, that's www.louisehicks.biz. Or call 1-562-310-1495. L. Hicks Consulting Services, where professionalism is top priority.
We're back to Aim to Purpose, the radio show. The show is really getting, I guess we're kind of like that group there. It's getting a little emotional and heated up today. Yeah. But that is what happens because we do have a crisis in America. Until we fix that crisis, it's not just... it's not everybody, because we know we have decent people in America, and we have a lot of decent people. But go ahead, Ken. You wanted to jump in and say something, and after that, I have something I'd like to bring to the attention, too, and we want Professor Brown.
Yeah, in the last few minutes that we have, you spoke about what we celebrate, and we love celebrating our athletes and athletics, and and the people in the entertainment industry. But also, instead of our intellectual values that we may have, we love entertaining certain reality shows. I know that my mom was doing some research on certain reality shows that consistently and constantly go after a target audience that is either having women fighting amongst each other, or arguing about who slept with whose man, or something of that nature. And we this is the consciousness of a certain demographic, and we praise that over and over again. So what do you have to say about that aspect of how we're what we choose to
indulge ourselves
indulge
in these
in.
reality shows. And I watched for the first time, and I wanted to watch one just to see, which was the Housewives of Atlanta. I wanted to watch the Preachers of Los Angeles or something to that effect, but I didn't get a chance to watch that. And I would not allow my children to watch. If I had minor children, there's no way I would allow them to watch that, because as far as I'm concerned, it adds no value to the black community. It adds no value to any community, particularly the black community that is like bringing up the rear.
And your response to that just it says it all as far as I'm concerned.
Wow, that's all I can say. I'm almost at a loss. I've watched it one time. And
which one? The Preachers or the L.A. Wives?
No, the Atlanta.
Okay.
I
did too.
It was a bit much.
Yes.
It was a bit much. Unfortunately, when I looked at it from an artistic value standpoint, I was challenged to try to find it. I really was. I saw ratings and these people making money and okay, that's great. And I'm glad that they're enjoying high earnings or whatever they're being compensated for.
Right.
But my part goes to a higher responsibility. What am I doing to perpetuate negative stereotypical perspectives and views of African American families, African American women? I was raised, God rest my mother's soul, I was raised by a very, very strong woman, an educator. She was a principal when she passed. And
great.
And to see this and to see the frivolity and the trivializing of these women's roles.
And pettiness.
And it was like, wow, I hope that's not what everybody out there is thinking about us.
Particularly us as black women, as females.
Oh, man.
I was thinking, appalled.
I'm looking at my daughters, I'm looking at my wife, and I was like,
I was
women
appalled.
in my life are not like that.
No, they're not like that. I know I'm not like that, and I didn't raise my daughter like that. I was appalled at it, and I would never allow my young children to watch any of that. It's just
I just think
nonsense.
There's a higher responsibility, though, Louise,
absolutely.
as you look at, but what is the price of your soul? Is actually the real question.
That's it.
What is the price?
Say
of your
that
soul?
again.
Now you're talking.
We need to tweet that one. What is the price of your soul?
How much are you willing to sell your soul for?
Absolutely.
100,000 episode, 200,000 episode.
Absolutely. What is the price of your soul? So with that, we need to wrap it up. We love having you. That's why you're here by popular demand. Yes. They wanted you back. So will you be willing to come back again and shed some light on some? Sure. We're going to have you a regular.
Yes.
Because you're so logical and practical, and you shed light on helping people to understand the reality of the crisis that's going on in America. And we didn't get to cover a lot of things, so we'll have you back.
That's why there's a next time.
There's a next time. So go ahead and final summary of what you want to say, and we're going to wrap it up.
Okay. I'll keep it brief because I know we only have about a minute.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you very much for having me on, inviting me back. There are so many things that we didn't get a chance to touch on that obviously, unfortunately, are perpetual problems that we will actually be able to entertain and discuss the next time.
Yes.
But like I said, I think the most riveting today was the 95% perception piece, and I think everyone needs to really look at that and kind of take a step back.
Absolutely. And with that being said, thank you so much, Professor Brown, for coming on with us today. And we just want to say to you in closing, as we always say, have a great weekend, and your power lies within you. Let it loose.
Let it loose. Until next week, ladies and gentlemen.